All right, so we're getting ready to show a buyer properties. Our buyers come in and sit down with us. And of course, what we have to do right off the bat is figure out how to get them to sign a buyer representation agreement or some kind of representation agreement, be it a BRBC or be it a property showing representation agreement, PSRA. So one of those two things needs to be in place. Any kind of compensation or any kind of representation agreement would work. I don't know if any of you guys have seen the one that Zillow put out when this all started a couple months back. It's just a showing agreement. It's a representation agreement that doesn't have any compensation in it at all. It was kind of called like a property tour agreement. It was a little bit kind of, I think the best word is janky, hokey, a little goofy, because it said that we were going to have an agreement to show you property, zero compensation, and that it wasn't really a representation agreement, although if you read what it was in it, there's like 3 of the 4 bullet points were establishing agency and establishing representation. So CAR Legal kind of laughed at it a little bit when it came out. So the point being is you can have any representation agreement in place. We don't have to use the CAR forms. We like to use the CAR forms. They're written by our attorneys. They're written to protect us, et cetera, et cetera. So just before we get into this, what's the difference between the PSRA and the BRBC?
That is, the PSRA is where the seller agrees to pay the commission.
So we won't have any forms where sellers agreeing to pay any commissions.
It's just for showing a specific amount of properties.
So
or
PSRA has
certain
like
amount of
like
time.
It
3
has where
properties.
you put the property, like because that's what I used the other day. I put, and you know, here's the thing, it was a Zillow call. They called really last minute. So you're like, oh my God, I got to whip this up and like have them sign it. And
Hey, it's just like when we had PEDS, the property entry forms for COVID. Like we were doing those in the street before we were walking into the property on our phones. We were like, here, sign this. We have to sign this to look at the house. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a little more difficult when you have Zillow people that want to go see a house on the fly. You really don't have time to come in and sit down. So you need to have something in the street, something in the field that you can look at before you walk into a house. You still have to have this conversation though, because they're still going to be agreeing to pay you a certain amount. So let's go back to the difference between the 2 forms. PSRA is supposed to have a 30-day maximum. It's defaulted as a 30-day maximum. I think you can make it shorter, but you can't make it longer than 30 days. BRBC has a 90-day maximum. And all representation agreements can be no longer than 90 days. So even if you build your own representation agreement, 90 days is the max. Not to be confused with 3 months. It's 90 days. So if you have, if you're doing 3 months and you're counting, like in December, January, and November, you would have like 92 days. It would be invalid. So you have to stay within a 90-day period. PSRA shorter, 30-day period. PSRA is defaults and only can be non-exclusive. Non-exclusive, right? Meaning that they can sign a PSRA with you, Darla, for these 3 houses, and then they can sign one with Cheryl tomorrow and go look at those 3 houses, and sign one with Terry the day after that and go show those 3 houses. Now, if they come back and end up purchasing the house that you showed them, even if it's with Cheryl, you're the procuring cause. You have the agreement for that house.
sure.
Okay, so if they want Cheryl to show them that house and be their agent, they need to break their PSRA with you. Right?
What is that? What's the acronym?
Property showing representation agreement.
And so that is that what I asked you the other day? I think that's why I'm confused. I asked you about what did I have to? Oh, can't think of the acronym. PRBB or
the SPBB. The
that's
SPBB is when the seller agrees to pay the
that's
compensation.
okay.
Yeah. So that's in the offer,
So the
section.
PSRA is specific to the three properties listed by address.
Correct. So think of the PSRA kind of as we're going out on a date. The BRBC is we're engaged to get married. Okay, so the BRBC can be much more broadly applied to properties. It can be county specific, city specific. It could be a list of properties. You can addend it and put more and more properties on that list. So it's much broader. The BRBC can also be exclusive. So it defaults as non-exclusive, but it can be exclusive if the buyer agrees to make it exclusive, meaning it doesn't matter whether or not you're involved in the acquisition of a property. Doesn't matter if you're involved in the analysis of a property. They could go out with some other agent and write an offer on the property. You get paid because you have an exclusive agreement with them. Both agreements can be broken unilaterally. Okay, so meaning that the buyer can say, hey, I want out. You can't stop them from canceling the contract with you, that representation agreement with you. Both of them allow you a continuation period, right? That means like if I have an agreement with Darla and Darla wants out and I have a 15-day continuation period, I have to give to her the list of the 3 properties that we showed and say, if anytime in the next 15 days you write an offer on that property, I am your agent again. So you can write a continuation period in either one of those 2. The default is 0. If you don't write anything in there, then there is no continuation period. So these are both of the agreements that we take when we go out to go show properties. The purpose of them is to establish the representation agreement. So what is it that we're going to do for the client, which we're going to go over in this list that's on the TV. And then the second part of it is to establish what we're going to get paid, right? What kind of compensation are we going to make? Which, why this list is so important, we need to show our worth. If we just say, hey, I get paid 2.5% because it is what it is, it's just the way business is, you know, you're going to have a harder time getting people to sign. They don't know you, they don't trust you. There's no reason why they should pay you for your business if you can't explain to them what your value is, right? If you went to any place, you know, to buy goods, buy a car, and if you don't know about why that car is a good car, you don't get a chance to test drive that car, why are you going to spend $40,000 on the car? Same thing here, right? So that being said, let's talk about some of the things that we can discuss. And what I want to build with you guys here is going to be a list of items that we can kind of revamp and rebuild our little packets that we have with your faces on the front. Maybe we need to change them a touch. I think they're pretty good right now, but I think we can add some of this stuff into it to help explain to our buyers why we get paid what we get paid and why they need to have us as their agents. All right, so what do we provide as buyer's agents? Number 1, market expertise, especially when you have people coming in from out of the area that don't know this market at all. We have a lot of buyers coming in this area. Our population continues to grow every year. So they don't know about our market. Heck, some of them, I think it was when we sold that one on Harness for $825,000, the buyers, the entire time they were coming from San Jose. They had a ton of money in the bank. And it wasn't so much that they didn't want to spend, excuse me, $825,000, because that was kind of like chump change for them. Their thought process was, well, I don't want to be known as the idiot who came down from San Jose and wrote a check for $825,000 for a house that was only worth $750,000. They were afraid that they would be overpaying because they didn't have market knowledge. We do, right? We have access to the MLS. We know how to analyze properties, put together CMAs. We know neighborhood trends. We know schools. We know future developments. We know a bunch of different things that can affect property value. So our market expertise needs to be that number 1 item that we convey to that new buyer when they come have a meeting with us, right? Why are you working with us? We know the market. Negotiation skills, right? People think they're great negotiators. Some are, some aren't. Some buyers have no idea. some people like to show all their cards at once. Some people like to say things like, oh, well, let's write an offer for 500, but I'm willing to pay 540. You know, those are things that you don't want to give away. So those are certain things that over time that we've all gotten better at negotiating, not showing our hand, keeping an ace up our sleeve. One of the things I find very important in negotiating is speaking once, speaking concisely, and then just being quiet and letting the other side try to figure it out. Let them mumble and bumble and over their words. You'll find if you're quiet, sometimes they'll just keep talking and just kind of give it all up. Cheryl had just one the other day. We were talking about negotiating, about agents negotiating back and forth and the difficulties we find with that. I don't know the resolution of yours yet, but it was to basically just put our position on an amendment and send it to the other side. You guys have often heard me talk about the analogy of playing tennis, and it's a lot easier to play tennis when the ball is on your opponent's side of the court. So as soon as they hit it over to you, hit it right back and let them deal with it. You know, they hit something over to you, confer with your client, get it back over to them as soon as possible. Don't let things sit and stew.
Not verbally.
Yeah, in writing, exactly, in writing. Don't let things sit on your side. Don't allow your client and you to create scenarios in your head that are fantasy. What about this? And what about that? And what if this? And what if that? No, sit down, look at it immediately, come to a conclusion, write your response, send it to the other side. Let them do that. So negotiating skills, really important thing that we can talk to our buyers about. Access to listings, right? Sometimes we hear about things. Wasn't it just you, Darla, yesterday, right here at Terry's desk? You said, my client likes this house up on Chester. I wish I could find something else. And I said, hey, I think Terry's got one coming up on the bottom of Jacaranda. It's not on the market yet. Your buyers would never know about that property. You will, because we have access to off market. We have access to upcoming. So that's another strong point to put in front of these people. Guidance through the complex transaction. I mean, we all know that, right? I mean, you can go back to the people that would say 20 years ago, the contract was a page. And then it was like 3 pages and they were all freaking out. And it was when it was all handwritten. And they had triple copies. You had the white, the pink,
like
a
total contract
right.
that prints out those things on the side.
Yeah, exactly. So now the transaction gets continuously more complex and harder and harder and harder. And some of us have been doing this for years, and some of us are still learning different ways to navigate through a complex transaction, right? So I mean, Cheryl just brings this thing up about the insurance today, right? It seems like every time we turn into the corner, there's another agency, another something, another law, another this or that that's making these things harder and harder and harder. So as professionals, we struggle with the complexities of transactions. Letting your clients know how difficult it is. This is another reason why you're paying me to represent you.
Also need the keys to the house.
Okay, strong network. So, okay, Mr. Buyer, you want to go get into transaction. What home inspector are you going to use? Which pest inspection company does a great job? What roofer is going to give you an honest or good quote? What septic company is going to do the right job for you?
Nobody has their own. They always ask. Like
nobody has
one person I know that I've dealt with has like their own inspector, and they're, nobody knows.
Yeah.
Well, they're buying multiple houses. Those people.
Yeah, somebody who's like an investor probably has a crew of people, but the standard everyday Joe coming off of the street has no clue, right? And we're not even talking about inspectors and people like that. We're also talking about lenders, and we're talking about escrow companies, right? We know at various times when we're supposed to go to that escrow company or that escrow company, because we're paying attention to whatever the policies or whatever the climate is in their offices. And maybe this one's struggling communicating right now. Maybe this one just lost a assistant. Maybe this one's better. So, we go back and forth all the time. Same thing with all of our home inspectors and all those other people, right? Everybody kind of goes through cycles. So again, we have a strong network of folks. This means pre, during, and post transaction, right? Pre, during, and post. Sometimes it's just our network of other things. We might connect a client with a business owner in town that, that we put 2 and 2 together. Oh, look at that. Terry's bringing yummies and goodies.
Yes,
You're a
but
bad
it
girl.
needs dip, cheese dip now. Where's the closest place we can go for that cheese dip?
Probably literally the gas station, because it's always with the chips.
Good luck over there. We'll come, if you don't come back in 15 minutes, we'll come get you.
Right?
Yeah.
We'll send in the team. All right, saving time and effort. Remember this list over here on the wall, the top 10 reasons why people are moved to do something,
Yeah.
right? Avoiding effort, saving time. Okay, so you want to move somebody to pay you to do something, save them time and effort. Right, you're going to be that person. You do all the heavy lifting when it comes to scheduling all these showings, reviewing paperwork, saving buyers countless hours of stress and confusion. That's really big. Now I want when we get done with these 8 here, I want us to put these in order, what we think is most important. Okay, because saving time and effort might be a little higher than 6 in my brain. Advocacy. So knowing that the buyer knows that we're always in their corner. Okay, we have their best interest at heart. We're their fiduciary from start to finish, post-closing, everything. Like, we're always going to advocate for them. They need to know that our commissions is a byproduct of our great service, right? We're constantly taking care of them. We're never putting ourselves in front of them. And then legal protection. In a lot of different ways, we have legal protection, but this way it specifically is knowledge of the contracts and disclosures, state requirements. If they were doing this on their own, they wouldn't know how to navigate through the complexities of the contract, or also know what happens if I get bad disclosure, or if I don't get enough disclosure, or et cetera, et cetera. So there's definitely some issues there as well. So of those 8 items, what do you guys feel is most important, the biggest one? Which one's paramount?
I think maybe it's market expertise, because, that's what you start with, and you have to have that through the whole thing. And they're not going to get that somewhere else. Just like, you have a client that says, I want to look at property here. Well, I'm going to tell them, I don't have expertise in that area. Let me find you someone. I think that's kind of like your starting point.
It's a really good point you bring up too, right? What's the difference between being a licensed California sales agent and being a California realtor? The Code of Ethics states that we have to have market expertise in the area that we're servicing. Real estate license, you can work anywhere, right? And you don't do a good job for your client. So that's one of the differences. Part of our code is market expertise. Anybody else think that there should be something other than market? I kind of agree with that, but I'm open to anybody's conversation. Give me another one of those that might be a number 1 or possibly a number 2.
Guidance.
Guidance, the guidance through the complexity of the transaction.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's try this. Let's see how this works. If I take this, and I move it? Probably should have tried this first. I'll take this one. Okay, so market expertise, guidance. What else? How do you guys feel about whether these should be in order of the process of how we go through from
I do.
Yeah.
from contact to contract? So maybe access to listings
Could be number 2.
might be number 2 if we do it that way. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think guidance is a very important one too, but I might want to put access to listings slightly above it.
Well, advocacy should be up there too, right? Because you're advocating for this person from the very
From
beginning.
start to finish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, so we put advocacy and then
don't wanna have too many of them.
That was another thing, like with the Zillow caller is I basically said, you know, have you heard that there's been some changes? And they're like, not really. And I said, okay, well, I apologize that we have to have this conversation and I haven't even gotten to meet you yet, but I have to tell you right now that this is the deal, you know? And then I was able to meet them, but at least I kind of said, I'm
That's
sorry,
what
I
I'm
have to have
doing.
this conversation with you and I haven't even spent any time with you yet, you
Yeah.
know?
Right, but it is now mandatory.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
You just say the reality of the situation is this.
yeah, yeah.
Excuse
So,
me,
yes,
I have to go
go ahead.
in 10 minutes.
No problem.
I'll come back though, because I have my stuff.
Okay, so let's look at this market expertise, advocacy, access to listings. Which one, 4 or 5 should be 4? Guidance or negotiation skills?
Negotiation skills.
'Cause you
Well,
gotta get into the
negotiations, yeah.
transaction before you
Yeah,
start
negotiation
negotiating.
should come after because your
Should come
guidance, well, because your guidance through the, you know, and then like,
Yeah, because the negotiation doesn't really start till after you start the transaction.
So leave it like this?
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. And then what about those last 3?
Professional leaving trusted relationship with lenders.
Wrong network, saving time and effort, legal protection. I always feel like legal
6.
protection always gets kicked to the end.
I feel like 6 should be between 3 and 4 because strong network, professionally trusted relationship. Okay, so access to listings. So you're looking at the listings, right? And then your network
Okay, so you're saying
relation.
move
Then
this guy up here?
yeah, because it says you're developing a relationship with that person, and then you're going to be guiding them through the complex transactions.
Okay. How do we feel about that list?
I think saving time and effort needs to go up.
Where would you put that?
Either above advocacy or between advocacy and access to listings, because that saving time and effort, it's we're searching, scheduling showings, that's at the beginning. And it's throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
What do you think, Cheryl?
Yeah, I guess, saving time and effort would maybe 4, bring it up to 4.
So after access to listings or and before strong network?
Maybe before because of the scheduling showings. I'm sorry, it's only because I have to pick up my pod's being delivered. Otherwise I'd stay.
I feel like legal protection should be right up there with it's funny because it's like these could all be at the top, kind of. because
Legal
they're all-
protection,
Yeah.
legal protection deals mostly with contracts, so maybe that should
Yeah,
be
like closer
put
to,
like 7.
No, I think I'm okay with legal protection at the
being
end.
at the end, okay.
Yeah, because if
That's a
you're
strong
gonna
one to
get
finish
into
on.
if you're gonna get into a legal issue, it
Mhm.
usually ends everything.
Okay. So I like this. This works. All right. So we'll take this information and I'll try to rewrite it and incorporate it into our little buyer's packets that we have. I want you guys to have some strong bullet points when you go meet somebody for the first time so that you can figure out, you know, a nice path in the conversation of how to get to your compensation. Okay. So this is a bullet point of 50 items. We're going to go through each one of these 50 and you're going to tell me whether or not we should keep them or get rid of them.
50.
50.
Wow.
50 things we can do as a buyer's agent. Number one, conduct a buyer consultation to understand your needs and goals. That a yes or a no?
Yes.
Yes?
Yep.
Hopefully not all 50 of them are yeses.
Is this chat
Mhm,
GPT?
All right. Provide a market analysis to help you determine a realistic price range.
Yes,
Yeah.
Pretty
absolutely,
important.
yeah.
Right? Recommend trusted mortgage lenders for pre-approval.
Yes.
Right?
That definitely helps.
Assist in defining your home search criteria.
Is that kind of what the?
Kind of what the next one
consultation-
is.
Yeah.
Maybe. Set up personalized MLS searches based on your preferences.
Yeah,
You guys all know how to do that. How would you do that if somebody wanted to do that?
that's a little hard for me. Like if somebody wanted like a huge garage, or if they wanted a horse property, you know. That's definitely something. Oh my goodness.
So you guys all know that in our website, our website, TehachapiRealEstate.com, and with our turbo leads, we can add clients in, log in as that client and create searches for them, save those searches, and then have the system send them an email.
Yeah.
So we could do basically build a portal in the system that we have.
Send them emails when something like that comes up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can send out emails daily,
yeah.
Tuesdays and Thursdays, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, on the weekends only, once a month, once a week, however you want to
Mhm.
set it up. So we can do personalized searches. Notify you of new listings that match your criteria.
Isn't that the same thing? Set up
Yeah,
a
so
first-
probably get rid of that one maybe. How about arrange private showings of homes?
That's kind of a given.
Yeah, I think we'd want to leave that in there maybe though.
Sure.
I don't know, because people call and they're like, hey, we want to see these homes. And
You
I
still
don't-
have to arrange them.
Yeah.
Right, I just don't think
Yeah.
they realize that. It's like,
Well,
you're calling me an hour before you're coming to Tehachapi, like I have to ask
Yeah.
and set this up. It's not, I can't just walk into doors, you know?
but yeah, they can't on their own.
They can't do it on their own.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that,
they could call the listing agent direct, but
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of defeats the whole purpose of having a representation agreement.
yeah.
All right, what about arrange private, provide insights on the pros and cons of each property.
I feel like that's a slippery slope, right? So you're at a property and it's kind of like you see something that might be questionable. Sometimes you
Well-
might not wanna,
You,
it depends, like you don't wanna give too much of an opinion, cause sometimes people don't want your opinion on a property, like, you know, it's hard to say.
So I've had a lot of luck in when I go in and show a property and first time I meet a client, I always will say, hey guys, I have two different ways that I can show you this property. We can do this like HGTV and I can just come in, open the doors, and I can do the Vanna White on everything and go, hey, check this out. Isn't this beautiful? Or so I used to work for investors. My job was to come in and point out all the bad things about this house. So you tell me which way you want me to do it. Do you want me to gloss this over and make everything look great? Or do you want me to be honest with you and tell you everything I see wrong?
Did you ever get somebody that says gloss it over?
99.9% of the time, I get tell me everything that's wrong. with
Right,
the
Yeah.
house.
nobody wants to
They
gloss
want me
over.
to analyze the pros and cons,
Sure.
right? Because they're relying on me.
Mhm.
I have market expertise. I've seen it. I've been there. I've done it. Right now, I never say that I'm an expert. I never say, hey,
Yeah.
that roof's got a year left. No, I go, hey, look, I'm not a roofer, but I've seen a lot of roofs in my day. I'd have that one inspected.
Yeah.
I'm not looking too good,
Okay,
right? That I can make that statement,
yeah,
right? And I can clearly see, oh, look, this looks like it's had some kind of water damage in the past. That's pretty easy to see certain things after a while. So I think that's really a key point,
yeah.
Sure.
right?
That's like advocating for them.
yeah, it's part of the advocacy.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're not an expert. I've seen a lot of houses. I'm gonna help you analyze the pros and cons. Conduct virtual showings when in person isn't possible. Do we need to
Wait.
keep that on the
I
list?
don't-
Maybe you could combine it with arrange private showings of homes
Oh,
or
I see.
conduct
So
virtual showings when
do-
in person isn't possible.
virtual or in person,
Yeah.
Yeah,
like that. Okay.
I had to do a couple virtual showings in the past, and it was kind of awkward, but still It's kind of fun, you know.
So we got schedule and coordinate open house visits. That probably doesn't need to be in there because we don't have any open houses up here. You guys cool with that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Offer advice on the resale value of properties. If somebody says, am I making a good purchase here? What happens in 3 years when I move? Is this gonna go up in value? Is this gonna go down in value?
You gotta dip it in the Tostitos, come on.
Is it any good? Have you done it yet?
Oh, I love that
Are you
stuff.
kidding me?
I know this stuff is.
I'm gonna
good.
go get you some water too, cause.
Am I gonna get thirsty now?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like in colder room temperature.
Room. All right, what do you think? Offer advice on the resale value of properties. Is that important at this point in time? Maybe not.
Yeah.
Are you leaning yes or no?
I'm leaning, like, take it out.
Okay.
I just feel
Don't
like
be afraid.
it's like right now you should be focusing that they're buying it. If their whole intention is to flip it or something, that's
Then it's a
one thing.
different set of criteria. Correct.
Bro, do you want me to make you a plate?
Sure. Little.
Analyze the property's history and market conditions.
Well, that's
yeah, that
market,
comes-
that's market analysis up above, right?
Okay. I want to parse this list down, so I have no problem tearing it apart. Identify potential red flags in a property.
Well,
you-
sure,
well,
yeah.
You
it's
already
like-
said you're
that's-
providing pros and cons.
Yeah. Redundant.
I think they kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah.
You could take that in a property out at the end of that to shorten it. Just say identify potential red flags, because you already said property.
Advise on property taxes, HOA fees, and other costs.
Yes.
Yes.
For sure.
Research school districts and local amenities.
Yeah.
I think,
Go ahead. I only have one school district.
I think it's,
Yeah.
again, like you said, a slippery slope when you start commenting on the quality of the school or, I mean,
Yeah, but they don't really have a choice, okay? You're gonna go to high school here. It's the only one.
What about help you with, yeah. There's this high school or there's this high school. You have
Right.
two choices. All right, what about help you evaluate the neighborhood?
Well,
I do.
you do?
Absolutely. I have. There's certain things you can say, there's certain things you can't say. There's also certain things you can say, right? If I say to somebody, for example, it's been my experience that most people that live in Bear Valley came from a different city. Not a lot of people in Bear Valley are born locally. There's a slightly different socioeconomical level.
Uh-huh.
Okay, or I'm in another neighborhood and I might say this neighborhood has a lot of residential income property, has a lot of multi-unit family property, multi-buildings, triplexes and fourplexes and et cetera. That has with it a high rental base, has a typically lower socioeconomic level to it. You can kind of infer things by that, right? So sometimes I definitely evaluate the neighborhood. This neighborhood is horse friendly. This neighborhood is down by the golf course. You might get hit by a errant golf ball, especially if
Or
I'm
sometimes
up there
it speaks
playing.
for itself. I was showing a house. And this is a term across the tracks, on the other side of the tracks. And you can see that the neighborhood isn't well kept. You can, that speaks for itself. Like you see the Bear Valley is great, everyone's,
Yeah, for
and
the
then you go
most
to this
part.
other neighborhood and nobody's.
it's, the homes are older, you could say that, right?
Yeah.
Homes are older neighborhood. Sand Canyon, a little bit more remote,
Mhm.
right? No services out there. It's like it is in other areas. So yeah, I would definitely, especially if somebody doesn't know the neighborhood. I got a buyer coming in here real soon. It's a referral from a friend, and they want to go look at a house on Chester on the back of Bear Valley, right? Over on Chester. You've been to that one. And then they want to go look at one up on Grindelwald in the top Alpine Forest. They don't know the area. They don't know that that's off the grid. You have no services, you're gonna get snowed in. They're coming from Las Vegas. They have no clue.
Even going all the way to Chester, and I told them this is about 20
You
minutes.
still wanna
And then we
go.
got there and they were like, wow, you weren't kidding. And it's
You're
like,
like, no, I
you
wasn't.
you can only describe it so much.
You
And
can
then
only
they're,
experience.
they're like,
Uh-huh.
wow,
Yeah, like,
Like, yeah,
oh,
yes.
okay.
I'm not sure how to describe it more without starting to sound negative. Like it takes a long time and
Yeah.
it's windy and it's gonna add 20 minutes to any trip.
Yeah. I've often said, hey, get in the car, we're gonna go up there, and as soon as this drive is too much, let me know, and we'll just stop and turn around. And I've had people just go, okay, that's it,
Yeah.
I'm done, turn around, and you're only halfway up.
Really?
You're only
Yeah.
halfway up. Yeah, it's a really good way to
Totally.
keep you from having to go all the way there. Like, once they've made the decision in their head that this is too far,
Yeah,
I'm
why
not
show
doing
it?
this,
Yeah,
why show the house?
Just-
You're just wasting another 30
Same.
minutes of your day. Provide access to off-market and pre-listings. I think that's something that's definitely a value factor. Recommend qualified inspectors and contractors.
Yeah.
yes.
Schedule home inspections and appraisals.
Yeah. Cause I don't think people know that you schedule everything. Like,
All the
you
scheduling?
know, it's like, we're scheduling.
How about
everything.
recommend and schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Schedule. I don't know how that's spelled. Qualified inspectors, contractors, and then we'll put the good old ETC. Behind that. Okay. That one's gone. Negotiate repair requests after inspections.
Totally.
Definitely, right? That's like built in. Review and explain contracts and legal documents.
Yeah.
Prepare offers and counter offers.
Mhm.
Negotiate on your behalf to get the best deal.
They should know that, right? I
Not
mean,
necessarily.
well,
I
you're
was gonna say this one
but
here,
you're
we
advocating. for
might wanna make larger.
them.
Advocate for your interests in all
I think
negotiations. I think
that
that's,
goes with.
yeah, that's kind of redundant there. Assist with escrow and title issues. Do we?
Yeah.
I,
Well,
I think so. I mean, I've had a lot of transactions where you really have to like keep after them to get what you
Keep
need.
poking the bear.
Or like trying to get the HOA docs from Alpine Forest. I had to do that because they weren't
Okay,
getting them.
all right.
You
Review
shouldn't have to, but.
They shouldn't have to, yeah. Review property disclosures and reports. Right, that's very important. Explain contingencies and guide you through them. I like that. Ensure that earnest money deposits are handled properly. We need to put that in this list.
I don't think so.
That's a hard one because
I mean, I'm
We-
kind of voting for getting rid of that
We
one.
don't,
Yeah.
we don't really.
that's a hard one because I've already had a few issues with that. It's like, I don't know, I can't assist you on how to put your
Transfer
Okay, how to
transfer
wire your
rate.
funds.
Yeah.
And then Matt just had a bad experience with that, right?
well, I just had to switch escrow companies in the middle of escrow.
Oh, did that go okay? Did you figure out how to do that? I forgot
Yeah,
to
they didn't.
help you out.
It
on
was
that one.
fine. I got a lot of assistance from
From
the other escrow company, and we only had to switch. It was still First American he wanted to switch to, but it's in Bakersfield.
Gotcha.
So I just had to write.
Oh, just push it down there. Super easy.
So I just had to write an amendment
Yeah.
and keep the same timeline and just kind of, he requested that we do a new officer.
Yeah.
And it was-
Which, I don't know,
We can talk about that later.
Yeah.
All right, help you find reputable insurance providers. Kind of a huge
So like
deal
fire
right now,
insurance
huh?
at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fire
yeah, yeah.
insurance, kind of a big deal. Monitor transaction deadlines and timelines. Okay. Coordinate with the seller's agent and other parties.
I feel like that's implied and probably
Yeah.
some of the other things.
Well, does that show your, I mean, we're trying to make this list, and when people read all the different things that we do, they're like, oh, great, great, great. Is this one gonna have any, does this have any landing? Does this have any weight?
Yeah, that's part of it.
Yeah, okay. What about assist in securing contractor estimates for repairs? Where was that other repairs one? Didn't we have another repairs? one?
Yeah.
Where was it? Negotiate repairs. Maybe we figure out how to make that.
and assist with securing estimates.
Yeah, figure out how to put these two together. I'll make a note. And I go back and look at this. Okay. All right, what else?
Where are we at? Where are we?
Monitor we did that, coordinate, yes, assist in securing, that's the one I just moved. Okay. Negotiate closing cost credits or repairs. It's kind of all built into that.
Yeah.
I'll have to figure out how to make that go in with the other. So it's actually kind of part of up here still.
Mhm.
Have to come up with a really nice compound sentence.
To help you compare loan options, I feel like the loan officer does that.
Loan officer does that, right?
Yeah.
I agree.
I don't feel
It's kind of a
qualified.
stay in your lane kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, facilitate communication with your lender. God, I hope not.
Yeah, here's the number, call them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that kind of goes back to trusted in the top
Here's
page.
Jeff's number, call it.
Coordinate final walkthrough before closing. That's probably a yes, right? Help you
Coordinate final
obtain and
walkthrough.
review a home warranty. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Provide local utility information. Okay.
So let's talk about that.
Okay, let's talk about that.
One of my, a buyer of Bear Valley reached out to Brooke asking for, all of this utility information. And her answer was, my broker said that I didn't have to provide that as part of the transaction. So then she reached out to me later. That's a courtesy.
Yeah, it's a courtesy,
and
correct.
So yes, I was a little surprised at that response, but
Well,
and
so-
yeah, you're right. We don't have to provide that information, but it's a courtesy. Of course, they need
Yeah.
to know who you go through and all of that.
so this could be though, a really good selling point then, if we have a list. I mean, I know we have a list. I've seen lists around for years, right? If you're in this neighborhood, you call these people. If you're in this neighborhood, you call these people. So it's probably a good thing to leave in there. What about help coordinate moving logistics or services? Do we want to get into that?
Well, yeah, because people ask and I go, yeah, it's called meathead movers. That's
So are we coordinating that?
no,
No.
Yeah.
no,
Okay, that's just again part of our list of people that we know.
right, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, we're not in a state where we have closing tables, so this is a non-California issue. We're not sitting with attorneys and signing. Okay, assist with post-closing issues like repairs and disputes.
After
Yeah, I
closing?
mean, we put in our previous list that we're there from start to post.
Yeah, but if it's closing issues, so the only thing that somebody's reached out to me about is their warranty, and then they deal with the issues that they're having, like.
I think I kind of like this in there though, because it kind of makes maybe they feel
They
like
feel
they have our
secure that they can
support.
reach out, yeah.
Yeah,
support at
like
the
we
end,
don't
even
just
though our
say
agency
close,
is over.
bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though our agency is over, we almost always continue to reach out and help them. There's certain things that we can do, certain things that we can't do. So I think that's probably good. Ensure all parties meet deadlines. I mean, we can move that up. Didn't we have that?
I think
already?
we have.
We already have that,
Yeah.
monitor transaction deadlines and timelines.
Yeah.
So I think we're probably good to get rid of that one. We could probably put including, me and I love to enforce things. Okay, all right. Help you understanding closing documents and settlement statements. I mean, I think that's important. I don't think enough of us read those settlement statements when we get them, the estimated settlement statements right before we close. We should be looking at those, making sure everything in there is proper. Provide ongoing market updates after sale. That need to be here.
Provide ongoing market updates after sale.
I'm seeing a lot of head shaking and I'm kind of feeling the head
We don't
shaking.
really provide that.
Yeah.
I mean, Terry provides that through Zillow.
Help you find property management services if needed, probably not. Offer guidance for property renovations and improvements.
Mm.
Maybe not. Maybe ChatGPT was running out of good ideas. Serve as your ongoing real estate resource for future
Yes.
needs. I like that.
Yes.
Recommend legal and financial professionals when needed. Kind of like that too.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of that.
Mm.
Offer advice on property upgrades that increase value. Probably not.
Yeah.
All right. So what did we knock that down to? Anybody want to count? How come we can't just bullet point all these as numbers?
You can't, if you highlight and then you insert, now if you highlight them, go insert.
Let's try this. Hold on. We try bullet. Number 2. Boom. All right.
Yeah.
27. So we took 50 of them and marked them down 27. All right. So what we can do in our packet now is say these are the 8 tenets of service that we're going to give you, those first 8. And then we can say these are the 27 things that we will do as your buyer's agent. I think if we go through that conversation, would you feel more comfortable than saying, this is why I charge blank? Yeah. Right. What about the peanut gallery? That's all on Zoom over there. If you're still with, I'm going to unmute you all. How do I unmute all of them?
Hello.
So if you run into,
Hello.
There's 1. There's 2.
I'm listening.
What do you guys think?
I'm listening.
Brooke is still muted.
What did you guys think about this?
I think it's good. I think some of the stuff we like talking about with the neighborhoods and stuff like that, I pretty much don't comment too much about it. I do bring up, the multifamily dwellings around there, but I don't really say too much.
Yeah. Anything else from anyone?
I think it looks
Maybe
good.
they'll think
I
it
like
goes
it.
with breakfast.
I think it looks good. I like it.
Oh, okay, cool. All right. Anybody have any final thoughts about any of this? I know it's a little different than normal, no contracts. It's thought to be a little bit more.
No, I like it because I feel like you might have gone through something similar to this when I wasn't here. And it's as far as like the new rule and what you say to people and stuff, like how do you advocate for yourself to be there over the phone when they want to see you?
Hello.
Well, it's nice if you can put it in front of them.
We can hear you. Hello.
Oh, okay, good.
There we go.
Okay, good.
I mean, there's a couple of different conversations that you have to have. Like the first conversation is this with people about why we even have to do this to begin with. Right, that's the first conversation, and I think that's like that initial conversation over the telephone. Hey, you know what? I'd love to go show you properties, but there's regulations, there's new rules. Before I go show you properties, I have to have this agreement in place, and it's something that I probably can't talk to you over the phone about,
Ebola just
because
killed
there's
over
kind of a lot
2,700
to it,
people
and there's
by
documents to sign.
putting
So
malware into
that's why I was
pagers,
talking
making them
about
overheat and explode instantly.
I think it's Jacob on Lacey's end.
I don't know, there's someone
That was
said
me.
Ebola.
Sorry, guys.
Okay.
Oh,
that's okay. All right.
So maybe what could we do is if we're on the phone with them, say, this is what we have to do now. I'd like to send you a document that kind of explains the services that we provide and let you review that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can take you to the next level, which would be filling out the contract for my compensation and.
Absolutely, because these things that we have, we can easily make them PDFs, right? Let me see if I can pull one up here real quick. There we go. Computer's gonna run slow because of Zoom. No, it's not. I didn't ask you to define the word for me. Supposed to find it. Technology not working. This is super duper slow. Okay, so I can turn them all into a PDF, just like this PDF here. This is something you can easily send over to that client that you're having the conversation with. Let's see if it'll open. Maybe it'll show up. There it goes. All right, so we can easily do these PDFs for you guys, right? These are the abbreviated buyer's guides. If this is the language that I'm talking about wanting to change in here in this area in the buying process and in the timeline, probably get rid of the timeline and to set your budget. We talk about agent compensation here, which is really good. And then I think if I add those 8 bullet points that we were just talking about, and then putting the list of the 27 things we'll do, I think it'll strengthen this document. You can send this document to your client ahead of time. They can review it. They can say, yeah, this looks good. This doesn't look good. I want to go with you. I don't want to go with you, but at least you have something. Because I just, we're trying to figure out how to not get you guys going into these buying situations at 2%. That seems to be everybody's default easy. I'm just going to ask for 2% because I know I'm at the bottom of the market. If I ask for 2%, nobody's going to underbid me if I go to 2%. But the truth is, you guys all are good enough agents and we give so much value. We should be getting 3. We should be getting 2.5, 3, 2.75, 3.25, 3.5. There's a lot of reasons. And then you can, during that conversation, explain to people, hey, I'm going to try to get that from the other side. Yeah. But if I can't, you still have to pay me.
You're on the hook.
Yeah, like this whole concept. And I know Terry's talked about, well, if I can only get 2, then I'm going to go back in and renegotiate. I mean, that's an option too. But another option is to just dig your feet in the sand and say, this is my value. This is my worth. I'm worth 2.5. If I can only get 2 from the other side, you got to come up with half. It's the way of the world. And, if they all say, how many people, what would you say the percentage of buyers nowadays also have to sell their house? It's still relatively high.
It's high, yeah.
Still relatively high, right? So, okay, you never had to pay for yourself before, and you have to pay for yourself this time. But when you sell your house now, you don't have to pay for the other side if you don't want to. It's kind of that same kind of thing where they say, like, why do I have to pay title insurance when I'm selling this house? Well, don't worry about it. When you go to buy your replacement house, just make sure that seller pays for your title insurance. It's going to wash in the end. So if you're worried about paying my commission on the buy side now, when I sell your house for you later, well, you don't have to pay the buy side on that side. So, I mean, there's 1,000 conversations out of that. Go ahead. Got something?
Well, I was just going to ask what advice you have on if someone really you're getting a lot of pushback on, if you're trying to represent a buyer and they're just like, absolutely not, I'm not going to pay. You just say, okay, well, good luck.
Yeah, you can, you know what, Mr. Buyer, if you want, you can buy a house unrepresented.
Yeah.
Have fun doing that.
Have fun.
Yeah.
I just got done telling you all the reasons why you don't want to do it. But if you think you're the guy, go for it. Like, nothing in the law doesn't say that people can't buy and sell their own houses. We already have for sale by owner all the time.
Yeah.
Right. So now we're just going to have for buyer by owner, or for whatever you want to call it. Yeah. And so buyers can go out there and do that. They can sign a non-agency representation form or non-agency buyer form, and go in and write an offer. Where are they gonna get the contract from? You
Right.
know, they're gonna have to get it on like LegalZoom or something, and it probably
Like,
won't be,
how would a normal person know how to do this?
they wouldn't really know this process at all, right? So again, that goes back to how do we explain to people, let's see what Julie has to say. Oh,
Where does this live?
so I can make one for you. I have it on Canva. It's just
Oh,
very
okay.
simple. I just go in and change out the photo on the front, change out, you know, the basic information. There's only a couple of spots we got to change something out. And then I usually tie a PSRA to the back of it.
Yeah.
So it's all bound into one folder. So as they're looking through it and you're agreeing to everything, great. Here's the agency, sign that. Here's the PSRA. Here's the percentage, sign that. And now let's go look at houses. So it's all in one tight.
So you
bundle.
you want that book to be, they can sign that and that would be for you, right?
Yeah, I was you right on the fly. Like if
Yeah.
you can, I want something that you guys can use out in the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should,
Okay,
we should
yeah.
like, I would like to have like a box of
Yeah,
like,
boxes.
contracts in my car,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
ready
they
to
kind of
go.
look. They look
Can
like
we
this.
print them out without
Oh,
them
look.
saying like, but to print them out, you have to create a thing.
What do you mean? I have a sample one that you don't. So the PSRA back here is
Okay.
completely blank,
Yeah.
except for the fact that it already has. See, the buyers is blank. The buyer is all blank,
Yeah, let's
but
get-
downtown country real estate is already in there. And I can have it so that your license information is already.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
there.
I feel like we should probably have like 5 of those each and just keep them in our car.
Yeah.
That
Well,
way-
I
I'll just have to sit and make them for us.
That's pretty, yeah, it's pretty
Was
easy.
that where you were?
We can just sit back here and print them all day. I mean, it's, I
Yeah.
can bust
yeah.
out 5 of these in.
Yeah, I feel like
in
I need a
10,
real
15
estate box
minutes.
in my car, just to have all of the,
Yeah, that way you're not scrambling if something comes up.
yeah, because I was scrambling, like, and, even though
Yeah.
your laptop is with you, or. geez,
Yeah, I
don't
think you
know,
need
get
to
a-
have, I think you need to have
and,
something
like a
tactile. in
print-
your hand.
They have printers now that are like small and thin, like if you're. that you can
Yeah.
put in your car.
And then you can
Yeah.
you just rip these out and scan them into your file.
Yeah.
Be pretty simple at that point.
We just need to make 5 of each for now. to
Right,
have.